Hello movie lovers, story recaps here. Today, I'm going to explain an American drama thriller film called Hide and Seek. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Emily Callaway, Allison Callaway's 9-year-old daughter, and they are playing together in the park. Dr. David Callaway, Allison's psychologist husband, is also present and is observing the game. After playing a game of hide and seek in the evening, Allison puts Emily to bed. It appears like Allison is anxious about something. She brushes off David's question about it. After that, Allison goes to take a bath. David awakens at roughly 2 in the morning to find Allison still not in bed. He checks the bathroom and is horrified to see Allison sitting on a bloody tub. She had cut her wrist to attempt herself. As Emily observes David sobbing and holding Allison's body, she is standing in the doorway. A few days later, Emily is depressed and in a children's hospital. David thought it would be best if he and Emily went to the country for a while. After speaking with his friend and co-worker Dr. Catherine Carson, Emily and Catherine are close friends. They part after she gives Emily a hug and bids her farewell. Emily moves to the new place with her pet. Finally, David and Emily have moved into their new house. It is very quiet and is located in a wooded location. A sheriff and the home's proprietor greet them. They are searching around when Emily vanishes. She is discovered gazing at something close to the woods. Emily refuses to eat anything that evening and insists on going to bed early. The girl is traumatized by the loss of her mother, despite David's best efforts to cheer her up. He then offers her a journal so she can record her emotions. Emily then says goodnight to her favorite doll, Alex, before heading to bed. The next day, Emily follows a butterfly into the woods while David is unpacking his possessions in his study room. Finally, she comes across a cave. She had returned by the time David begins to search for her. Alex, her favorite doll, is not, though. He and Emily will soon go to perform some errands. David notices a woman playing with a young daughter as he is filling up his car with gas. He tells them that he is named Elizabeth Young and that he hopes to become friends with Emily and the young girl. She seems to have won David over. They are welcome to visit sometime. David asks Emily about her doll, Alex, as he puts Emily to bed at night, and she responds that she no longer likes her. She informs him that Charlie has taken the place of Alex as her new pal. She responds that Charlie dislikes being discussed when David presses her on the subject further. David phones Catherine to inform her of the encounter. Both of them concur that Charlie is an imagined companion Emily made to help her deal with her trauma. The next day, David discovers Alex in the trash, her face deformed. David tries to talk to her about Charlie at dinner time later. She then tells him that Charlie is a lot of fun, just like her mother once was. He had another nightmare that night. He keeps having the same nightmare about the New Year's Eve celebration that took place the evening before Allison died. He gets awakened by the nightmare at the exact same time Allison died. He hears a commotion and checks the restroom, where he finds the phrase, "You let her die." There is water in the bathtub, and Emily's crayon is scattered. When he turns around, Emily is behind him, but when he asks her about it, she swears that Charlie was the one who committed the crime. Elizabeth and her niece Amy visit the following day. Emily is introduced to Amy by David, but she doesn't appear to be responding. Amy offers her doll to Emily as they play because she wants to get to know her. However, when Emily gives it back, the face is warped just like Alex's was. Amy is told by Emily that she shouldn't be present. They leave shortly after feeling afraid. Emily responds that she doesn't need any new pals, and that Charlie is enough when David inquires about Amy. Later, David does the dishes while Emily plays outside. He notices a man seated next to her and goes outside to investigate. Stephen, their neighbor, is there. Following their embarrassing encounter, David advises Emily to avoid interacting with strangers. David hears Emily laughing that evening, but when he goes to check on her, he finds her by herself. Charlie just left through the window. Emily responds when he asks whether he is still there. David tries to talk to her about Charlie, but Emily tells him that Charlie doesn't like him. After putting Emily to bed, David records all of this in his journal. Later, Emily and Charlie are seen playing hide and seek. She leaves her room to search the home for him outside. Behind a closet, she discovers a door. It leads downstairs to a basement. She moves toward him while still searching for him. Suddenly, the lights go out, and she yells in terror. David rushes to go get her. Charlie was hidden in the dark, she informs him. Elizabeth visits the following evening for dinner. She doesn't seem to be liked by Emily. Emily receives several books to read from Elizabeth, who tries to engage her in discussion. But Emily behaves aggressively against her and scatters all the books to the ground. When David notices this, he tells her to go to her room. Elizabeth soon departs. David awakens again that night at precisely 2:06. A sound is coming from the restroom. When he checks inside, he reads, "Now look what you've done. The water in the bathtub is filthy." David feels something inside as he enters to drain it. It is the cat that shared their home when it was dead. David enters Emily's room in a rage. Emily, though, is adamant that Charlie did it. The bathroom mess is then cleaned up by him. The next day, Emily presents David with sketches she's made of Charlie and her mother. Emily keeps chanting Charlie's name, despite David's attempts to explain that he is not real. Catherine pays them a visit that day. David's close friend Catherine is also a close friend of Emily. To meet her, Emily is quite eager. David should bring Emily back to New York, she suggests. He promises to take it into consideration. David visits Emily's room after she leaves and discovers that she has drawn illustrations of her mother killing herself in the diary he had given her. That day, Elizabeth visits again, but David doesn't hear her knock, so she enters Emily's chamber. She has come to Emily to make amends, but Emily accuses her of playing hide and seek with Charlie and gestures toward the closet. Elizabeth is ambushed and knocked out of the windows as she opens the closet. A sheriff stops by a little while later to inquire about Elizabeth. David is informed by the sheriff that he discovered Elizabeth's car wrecked down the road and that her niece had told him that she had arrived here. David, though, is unaware of the event. When the sheriff subsequently inquires about her, Emily lies and claims not to have seen her. When he leaves, David feels something is off. He observes the smashed window. Emily is sobbing uncontrollably. He is shown the time by her. Again, the time is 2:06 p.m. When David quickly enters the bathroom, he notices writing on the shower curtain. "Can you now see?" When he unlocks it, a dead Elizabeth is lying in the bathtub, which horrifies him. Emily is crying when he returns, but she continues to say that Charlie did it. She claims she is unable to share any information on David. David immediately locks her in the space before leaving. We then witness someone opening the door for her shortly after. When Emily no longer wants to play with Charlie, she contacts Catherine to let her know. On the other side, David makes the decision to dispose of Elizabeth's body. But the body is already gone when he enters the restroom. According to Emily, Charlie just departed with it. This has crossed the line. David is now enraged and determined to discover Charlie's true identity. He looks for him outdoors as he runs. He is suddenly confronted by his neighbor Stephen, who demands to speak with Emily because he has heard noises coming from their home. David tackles him, believing that he has been Charlie the entire time. He quickly returns home and secures the doors. He orders him to keep his daughter away. In fear, Emily clings to him and begs him not to make her see Charlie once more. When David enters his study, he is shocked to see that no boxes have been opened since they moved there. The journals themselves are empty. He has been in the study several times since the relocation, writing in his journal, and is still in shock. Everything suddenly becomes clear to him. We learn that David was the person Emily encountered that day in the cave. He understands that Charlie is actually David himself and that he has dissociative identity disorder. David would be in his study whenever Charlie would appear. Finally, he remembers the New Year's Eve celebration the evening before his wife passed away. He had seen Allison kissing another visitor. David made Charlie to vent his anger so he could kill his wife, something the submissive David was too decent to accomplish. Up until Charlie killed Elizabeth, Emily was unaware which of her father's dual personalities had killed her mother, even though she had known about it all along. Every time Charlie leaves the house, David has no recollection of anything. When David realizes this, Charlie completely assumes control of him. He informs Emily that her father has left. For David's benefit, the neighbor summoned the sheriff, who arrives to check on him. When the lights are turned off, he discovers Emily in her room. The sheriff investigates by going downstairs. Charlie, though, ends up killing him. Charlie can tell Emily no longer likes him. He starts counting while playing hide and seek. Rushing to her room, Emily. Then Catherine shows up. Charlie arrives behind her and pushes her down the basement stairs as she continues to move. She discovers the sheriff's dead body after being imprisoned there by him. On the other hand, Emily secludes herself in her room. Emily has already fled out the window and is going towards the woods when Charlie bursts into the door. In the cave, she hides. In order to save Emily, Catherine grabs the sheriff's gun and flees. Catherine also enters the cave before Charlie can get to Emily. However, Charlie poses as David, and when she lowers her guard, he attacks her once more. Emily diverts Charlie's attention away from Catherine to prevent him from killing her. Catherine steps in between them and shoots Charlie as he approaches Emily with the intention of killing her. Rewind a few months, and you'll see that Emily and Catherine have returned to New York. They currently enjoy their lives. The film closes with a close-up of Emily's drawing of Catherine and herself, showing that she has two faces, possibly indicating that she has two personalities like her father. Here is the movie's explanation. By the film's conclusion, it is obvious that David and Charlie are the same person. Dissociative identity disorder is a mental illness that David has, which is odd considering that David is a psychiatrist. David was unaware of anything at the time Charlie killed Allison that evening. Charlie remained even when they changed residences. David is always in his study room working or listening to music when Charlie arrives. On the other hand, he had never even unpacked his possessions in that space. Even his journal is barren. This hints that he made it all up to avoid meeting his other personality in the film. Emily is similarly nasty, and she even deliberately changed the doll's face. There are three potential causes. The first explanation is that she might do it because she despises Elizabeth, Amy's aunt. Second, she might do it to scare Amy into staying away, preventing Charlie from harming Amy. Thirdly, it's possible that Emily was acting out her pathological side. That is how I would explain the movie Hide and Seek. Don't forget to subscribe for more recaps like this, switch on alerts, and give the channel a thumbs up to help it grow. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Let's meet up the next day for another evaluation.